Hello, and welcome to One Step Wiser channel. Let's learn, grow, and evolve together. Imagine you worked for years to build something, a career, a relationship, a life you felt safe in. And then, one morning, it's gone. Just like that. No warning, no explanation. What do you do? Do you rage against it? Do you wait for things to go back to normal? Or do you put on your shoes and run? Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson is the story of four characters, a maze, and the one truth about change that most people learn too late. The maze. That's where our story lives. And before you think this is just a cute little fable, stop. Because the maze is your life, your workplace, your relationship, your health, your money, your mind. It's every complex system you have to navigate every single day just to find what you need to be happy. And inside this maze, there are four characters. Two mice, Sniff and Scurry, two tiny humans, Hem and Haw. And they all want the same thing, cheese. First, meet Sniff. Sniff has one superpower. He can smell change before it happens. He doesn't overthink. He doesn't hold meetings about it. He just senses when something is shifting, and he trusts that instinct completely. Sniff represents the part of you that's always quietly reading the room, the part that notices your boss has gone quiet, the part that feels the relationship cooling before anyone says a word. Most of us have a Sniff inside us. We just don't listen to him. Then there's Scurry. Scurry doesn't waste time thinking. The moment something changes, he moves. He doesn't have a perfect plan. He doesn't wait for certainty. He just acts, fast, instinctive, committed. Scurry is the part of you that just sends the application, just starts the business, just ends the conversation that needed ending. Action over analysis every single time. Now meet Hem and pay attention to Hem because Hem is the most intriguing character in this story. Not because he's dressed well, but because he's so human. Hem is intelligent. He's worked hard. He's earned his cheese. And because of that, he believes the cheese owes him its presence. When it disappears, he doesn't search. He doesn't adapt. He stands at the empty station and screams into the void, "Who moved my cheese?" He complains. He points fingers. He waits for someone to fix it. He builds a life around denial, because admitting the cheese is gone means admitting that everything he built around it might be gone too. And that is too painful to face. And finally, Haw. Haw is most of us, if not all, or at least who you can become. Haw isn't brave at the start. He's terrified. He spent years building comfort at Cheese Station C. He had routines there, friends, a sense of identity. Leaving it feels like dying. But here's what makes Haw the hero of this story. He gets scared and he moves anyway. He goes into the dark. He fails. He doubts. He almost turns back. But he keeps going. And this story revolves around the fact of being able to change or being adapted to change. In this vast maze, they all discover a Cheese Station C. And it is absolutely magnificent. Mountains of cheese, more than they could ever eat. For a while, life is perfect. Sniff and Scurry eat, sleep, and come back each morning. But they always leave their running shoes tied and nearby, ready, just in case. But Hem and Haw? They do something different. They chose to be stagnant. They stopped seeing the cheese as something they found. They started seeing it as something they were owed. And that one shift in thinking is where the story really begins. One morning, it's just gone. Sniff and Scurry look at each other. No shock, no panic. They already knew. They'd been watching the pile get smaller for weeks. They take one look at the empty station, lace their shoes tight, and disappear into the corridors of the maze. No meeting, no discussion, just movement. Hem and Haw arrive moments later, and Hem does something very human. He checks again. He goes back to where the cheese was. Checks a second time. It's still gone. He cannot compute this. "Who moved my cheese?" he shouts, his words echoing off the empty walls. "This is wrong. This is unfair."
Someone must be responsible. The cheese was here. It was ours. We earned it. It cannot just be gone.
Day after day, they return. And every day, the cheese is still gone. Hem's response? Rage. He writes on the wall of the empty station, "We will find who is responsible for this." But Haw starts to change. Quietly, internally, a war is happening inside him. Because he starts asking a question, Hem refuses to ask, what if the cheese is never coming back? That question is terrifying. Because if the cheese isn't coming back, then everything he's been doing, every day he's spent waiting, has been wasted. And yet, Haw starts to laugh, just slightly, at himself, at the picture of himself, a grown man sitting on the floor of an empty room, waiting for cheese that is clearly gone, refusing to move because moving means admitting he was wrong to stay. What would happen, he thinks, if I just went into the maze? The maze is dark. It's unfamiliar. Every corridor looks the same. Haw finds small scraps of cheese, enough to keep going, not enough to feel safe. And as he runs, he does something remarkable. He writes on the walls, for himself, and for him, who he hopes will one day follow. If you do not change, you can become extinct. His first lesson, written in the dark when he was most afraid, not for him, for himself. A reminder that staying still isn't safe. It's just slow death. What would you do if you weren't afraid? He asks himself this honestly, and the answer is he would run faster. He would explore more corridors. He would have left weeks earlier. Fear was never protecting him. It was just keeping him company while he starved. The quicker you let go of old cheese, the sooner you find new cheese. Every day he spent at the empty station was a day he could have been finding something new. Grief for what's lost is human, but grief that becomes a permanent address, that's the real trap. It is safer to search in the maze than remain in a cheeseless situation. Haw thought the maze was dangerous. But you know what's more dangerous? Staying somewhere that can no longer sustain you and calling it security? Old beliefs do not lead you to new cheese. This one stops him in his tracks. Because he realizes the beliefs that got him to Cheese Station C were good beliefs, but they are exactly the beliefs stopping him from finding Cheese Station N. Sometimes, the map that brought you here is the thing you have to throw away. He thinks of Hem. He wonders if Hem will ever come. He hopes. And then he sees it. Cheese Station N, bigger, more abundant, more varieties of cheese than he ever imagined existed. And in that moment, Haw understands something that can't be taught, only lived. The new cheese isn't just better than the old cheese. The journey to find it changed him. He is not the same person who left Cheese Station C. He is sharper, ready to adapt to change, and not afraid to put on his shoes if the cheese at this station also ends. He closes his eyes and takes the biggest bite. But even now, in his happiest moment, he does one more thing. He goes to the wall, and he writes the most important lesson of all. And then he checks the corridors. He keeps his running shoes on, because now he knows the cheese will move again, and when it does, he will be ready. And Hem? The book doesn't tell us what happens to Hem. The book ends with a cliffhanger of a character whose footsteps are heard right around the corner and Haw eagerly waiting for it to be Hem. This book doesn't need to tell us what we already know, but fail to acknowledge. We've seen him before. The person who couldn't adapt when the situations changed. The person who kept refusing to learn the new system because it was never needed before. The person who is still, years later, bitter about a loss that everyone else has moved on from. Hem isn't a villain. Hem is like most humans. There is a moment in everyone's life, probably more than one, where the cheese moves, a job ends, a relationship breaks, a plan falls apart, a world you built around something that no longer exists. And in that moment, you will be one of four characters. Will you sense it early, like sniff, and prepare? Will you act without hesitation, like scurry? Will you learn, stumble, write on the walls, and keep going, like Haw? Or will you stand in an empty room, fists clenched, demanding that the universe return what it has taken? Like Hem. The maze doesn't care about your past. It doesn't owe you cheese. It only rewards the ones who keep moving. So ask yourself, right now, honestly, where are you in the maze and where do you want to go? Put on your shoes. The new cheese is waiting. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Drop me a comment below of what you want me to cover next. Thanks, and I will see you guys next time.